I'm David Smith, and I'm here to introduce the Ultratech booth at the 71st Annual Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, the main event run by the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society. And of course, we're here in sunny Arizona. It's about 75 degrees outside. So let's go check out the Ultratech booth in the ballroom upstairs. Come on. So here we are up in the ballroom. Let's check out the Ultratech booth. We've got all these heavy hitters. Mark Oros, Ron Snelling. Mark has Hash New Gems. Ron Snelling runs Discovery Stone in Denver. We've got their stones up. We've got a VL here. Keegan is a brand new cutter. She's cutting on the VL. We've got Scott Suker's amazing glass work over here that he cuts on the Glass Tech. We also got, and here is the Glass Tech to see. We've got the Fantasy Machine for cutting on the backside and doing all those funky cuts. And then we've got my best friend, Mark Oros is over here now. He's shifting around, he's a shapeshifter. And then there's Tom Mitchell, who also teaches for the USFG. And on the end, we have the V5, that's my best friend, the classic cutting machine. So if you're out and about, please come visit the Ultratech booth. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Good. It's been a year.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
And it's been quite a year.
It's been a fast one, and I'm glad we're back.
And you've been incredibly productive.
I've been busy, yes.
Yeah, you've cut a lot of stones. The last 30, 60 days I've been talking to you, you've been really counting down, getting everything ready for the show that we're going to talk about in the case. And I don't think there's one stone here I could have cut in the whole year.
Well, thank you, Dave. It was a bit of a last-minute rush to get everything ready, but we're here now, and good.
Let's get right into it and kind of show you what's up the top, and then we'll circle back and tell you about that. So I want to start with the Vogel wand.
Yes.
And that's a wand, a design that was invented by a scientist named Vogel, is that right?
Yeah, an IBM fellow named Vogel who looked into the metaphysics of crystals, and he designed a crystal that he thought that you could actually charge with intentions. Whether that's true or not is still being debated, but I really like the design that he did, and I used the angles that he used in his crystals to create this one. Now this one's a lot more complicated, a lot more fun, and is more interesting to look through, but the inspiration came from his original crystals.
So whatever you charged it with, it seems to be working.
Thank you.
And then we're gonna come back to this kaleidoscope at the end and really talk about it. So let's head down to the bottom of the case and we're gonna work our way up. So let's start down here with the Muse. And first of all, why that name?
Well, the Muse is the name that Jeff Graham gave the design. I took the design from Jeff Graham, and underneath that we have a synthetic emerald that is showing through it. And I'm in the process of creating what I call viewing stones, large stones that people can pick up, look at, put in cabinets, play with. And this is phase 2 of the process. So the stone is actually sitting under there and adding a very beautiful effect to it. But by this time next year, we will have the stone attached and it will be a single piece.
So then let's see, this citrine. So give me the name of that one.
That one is, we call that Solera. And that gemstone was designed by Marco Voltellini, one of my favorite designers of quartz. And that is Bolivian citrine, very beautiful. Now that citrine has been heated a little to bring up that color, but it is my favorite color, citrine. And we're using that gemstone as the logo gemstone for our new company, Solera Gemstones.
Because you're kind of you're a collector gemstone cutter. You know, like I'm sure you cut some for jewelry, but it looks to me like your main jam is collector stones, yeah?
Well, I enjoy the larger gemstone, and the Ultratech allows me to cut that larger gemstone because it gives me, a larger canvas in which to do more intricate designs. But we also cut very small ones down to a quarter, fifth of a carat, for many of our clients, but we can go up to 5,000 carats, a kilo.
Right. Now this looks like you've got a piece. Oh no, the same thing. You have it below it. I love this, the structure of this, of a separate piece. And oh wow! And then when you look into it, you see dozens of. Is that what's the red stone underneath?
So the red stone is ruby, the blue stone is sapphire, and the theme here at the Tucson show this year is red, white, and blue.
Right, right.
So I thought it appropriate to do a gemstone that was red, white, and blue.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is our red, white, and blue gemstone. The design was a fan trunk design, and what it does is allows you to put one or several stones underneath and then break it into a bouquet.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, a bouquet of gemstone flowers. But you know, the what I'm seeing is the accuracy of the machine fulfills the dream of the artist, that you're able to use this incredibly engineered machine. That I just heard about a fantasy cutting competition in Germany, where the #1 and #2 winner both were using the Ultratech fantasy machine, and that's high praise for a German.
No surprise.
Yeah,
No.
loving that American machine. So then the Cleopatra's Eye. I've seen quite a few of these. I don't think I've ever seen one this big, and just the polish, the symmetry, the cutting is superb.
Thank you, David. It is a large Cleopatra's Eye. I find the design a lot of fun to cut, and I've cut many of them. This is not the largest one I've cut. I've cut an amethyst that was about twice this size. And this one has some frosting also in it, and it also has some mats that go around the pupil to kind of give a dramatic look to it. And this one is just a lot of fun. It's clear quartz, but it's amazing what you can do with clear quartz to just make it entrancing and full of wonder.
Absolutely. Especially the triangular rim of facets that create the, is that the iris, the outside part of the eyeball?
Yeah.
You know.
And then this one also has mats on the back to do the delineation.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun just to take something without color and then add design and depth and scintillation, extinction, dispersion, and let light actually be your medium instead of the stone.
And you know, something that we were talking about the other day during interview, you said you went before doing gemstones and you bought Geometry for Dummies. Was that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And when I look at this, it's super geometry. So to be able to take kind of a basic for adults book and really study geometry, and then have that kind of an end result, and of course having it be sold, is the full chain from research to operations to sales. You know, that's kind of the food chain.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so I did get the Geometry for Dummies. Geometry in high school, let's say I just didn't pay as much attention as I should, so I needed to refresh. Because
Yeah.
what's wonderful about cutting gemstones is you have geometry, you have geology, you have gemology, you have chemistry, you have all these different disciplines that you have to learn and integrate into your art and craft.
Yeah.
And again, this one was also done with the B5 by Ultratech.
Very nice, very nice. And I know you have every piece of equipment Ultratech ever made, and so you have kind of a quiver that you can go from machine to machine and accomplish these things. But let's move up to this. It might be my current favorite. It's a hard call, but the quartz kaleidoscope. You know, that you've cut it kind of similar to the Vogel, but with flatter ends. And then you have this beautiful little wand that I didn't see this coming, that it would be a separate piece, a little gold, almost like a magnifying glass with gemstones set in it, so that when you look through it, you see that. Hats off on this piece of work. Really fantastic. So take us from, like, how did this idea start, and then through the process, and how did we get here?
So it started with the fact that my father collected kaleidoscopes. He had a small collection of kaleidoscopes.
Yeah.
And I have one or two in my study. And I got the idea of maybe creating a crystal that was a kaleidoscope, that the crystal itself was the kaleidoscope, and that you could take it, hold it, and look at different things through it. And this was about 3 years ago I came up with this idea. and it perked for a while, and I mentioned it here to Mark, who does the lecture series, and he said he would love to see me present that. So we got the idea to do it. We had a very large piece of quartz that we had to take this out to get a very clear piece. And what's fun about this piece is it is just a single crystal, and I would say I have somewhere between 60 to 80 hours in carving this piece.
With
And
with polish and everything?
with polish and everything.
That's not much. I mean, and from my estimation, when I look at it.
And and then, as you were saying about having multiple machines that the Ultratech provides, this was cut a little bit on a Glass Tech, a little bit on a V5, and the rings were put in on a Fantasy machine. But it was all done on 8-inch laps, so you could do a stone this size on the V5 or VL with no problem. And then we brought it over to the Fantasy. We were able to put in those rings. The rings go from being far away to closer in order to give the piece some movement, and the taper allows it to give some movement. The base is made of Bobinga wood, tiger's eye, and purple jade. And my good friend Matt the jeweler did the what I call the wand. Now the wand is 14 karat gold, and it has yellow Montana sapphires, blue zircons, grape garnets, and green garnets in it. And what's fun about this is you can pick up the scope, pick up the wand, move it back and forth, twist it, and just have a lot of fun with it, and then just put it back onto the stand.
Yeah, it's truly it's so many things at once. You know, it's science, it's art, it's a museum piece in my eye.
Thank you.
But I don't think it's going to end up in a museum. I have a feeling this is going to end up on somebody that has the means to afford something amazing like this.
I agree. It'll probably go to a private collector, but I hope that private collector has it out where people can use it, play with it, and share it.
So then let's wrap up with, we'll go back to the Vogel wand. I believe he was an IBM engineer that came up with this. And it was something about there was something in there about transmitting images. Some people say that his work has been buried and not really allowed to go to the public very much. So what I've seen has been like photocopies and kind of underground publishing. But I do think, you know, did you put an intention in it? Did you?
Well, I would have to say my intention was wonder and beauty.
Well, mission accomplished.
Thank you very much.
And Mark also has a book for beginning facetors that you can download.
You can find the book on Amazon under Andrew Brown or Mark Oros. Andrew did the designs, I did the articles leading up to it. And what's nice about it is that the designs go from very simple to more complex, introducing new materials, and it's perfect for the beginner.
Fantastic, fantastic display. As a Tucsonan, we really appreciate you coming from Ithaca, New York. I think you kind of like the weather here.
It's been wonderful.
So just fantastic work.
Thank you, David. I appreciate all the nice things you've said.
Morning. I'm David Smith. We're here at the Ultratech booth with Scott Suker, an old friend, and we got to know each other right here at this booth. And we've been here talking about Ultratech and giving each other a hard time for several years now, and we really enjoy it. Scott has this collection to show us today, and I've seen it a few times, and every time I learn something new, I hear something new. And there are these amazing stones of history from all over the world, from ancient times, and you call it?
The Museum Diamond Replica Collection.
Very official.
Yes, it is. I have approximately 40 replicas here, and these are all replicas of very well-known famous diamonds. I first started creating them back in the late 70s, and I've been adding to them over the years. And it's just grown right now to a rather impressive display.
Indeed, indeed. So you just told me that this is your traveling collection because I noticed some damage to one there, and so you have a pristine collection that stays, I imagine, in a safe at home.
Yeah, not in the safe, it just stays out in the cabinet. But yeah, this is my traveling collection. It's the one that takes all the damage when I go out in public. The other collection stays home. That's my private collection, so it does stay in an undamaged state.
And these were all cut on Ultratech machines, is that correct?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the vast majority of these were cut on an old Ultratech V2. There were some of the more recent ones within the last 5 or 10 years that were cut on a V5. And the V5 with its digital angle display has just really improved what I've been able to do, because you have greater precision, accuracy, and reproducibility, and that's absolutely essential for the level that I create the replicas. Because I do it, when I'm modeling, I do it about 30 power magnification, and every facet, shape, junction, placement must be absolutely perfect. And without the precision, I aim for 1/100th of a millimeter in dimensional accuracy, and I just can't do that on other machines.
So, and you've been cutting faceting for 50 years.
Correct. I've been faceting for 50 years, but I've been cutting stone since I was 14, so that's a whopping 56 years ago.
That's really awesome, and we won't discuss your age, Scott. I don't want. But that, bringing that kind of experience, and then you have Ultratech that is in its mid 60s. I think I'm like 2 years older than Ultratech. You bring this decades old company that has been developing its technology. You bring this decades old cutter that's been developing his skills, and they kind of just come together at this amazing apex of where you have these amazing skills, you have this precision equipment, and look what you can do.
It's been a great partnership. Joe Rubin would call me up on a semi-regular basis, discuss market conditions, every now and then any of the machine add-ons that he was contemplating, and I'd give him my opinion. And of course, it'd be worth everything that he paid for it. Absolutely nothing. But it was fun. It's been a good time working with those folks. Their customer service is really amazing. All I have to do is call up. And just before I came here, I was talking to Robert on a minor machine adjustment I was contemplating. So he and I talked for about 30 minutes, and we just had a good time while I was making my adjustments.
It is honestly just an amazing experience dealing with a family company that makes totally recognize the best machine made in the world. I love the whole world, but it's really fun to sell an American product
It is.
that's known as the very best. But let's get into these replica diamonds. You've got 40 of them here. We selected out a handful to talk about. Which first, I want to start at the top and work our way down. What's the one? There was one here that was missing for how long?
Over 100 years, and that's the Florentine here. It just happens to be my wife's favorite diamond. It went into exile with the Habsburgs at the close of World War I. And a lot of people thought it disappeared, it got recut. But then it was just recently discovered in a bank vault in Canada about 2 months ago. So that's rather exciting, because this stone has been its recorded existence since around 1668. So it is definitely a historical diamond.
Wow, and I get to hold it. Now this is really heavy. What's the material you're cutting these out of?
All my stones are created out of cubic zirconia, and I use that over moissanite or any other material because it has the closest optical properties to diamond, and I can get it in colors that are close enough to emulate the original diamond.
So now you've held many of these diamonds in your hand, the real actual diamond, when you were in a vault.
Yeah, it's been quite fascinating. When I was doing the Discovery Channel documentary, we were running behind in the filming, and they just basically said, take the Hope Diamond, go into the vault, we'll see you in 30 minutes. So I'm all alone in the vault with the unset Hope Diamond, the Blue Heart Diamond, and Napoleon's necklace. Now, in the past, replicas historically were made out of glass or rock crystal. Cubic zirconia came on the market in 1979 or so, and I've been using CZ ever since. But now, with the advent of lab-grown diamonds, we're beginning to make replicas from diamond itself. So right here, I have the Wittelsbach with a half-size lab-grown diamond version of it. Now, the Wittelsbach is another very famous diamond. It's been in existence also since the 1660s. And this is the original uncut form of it before it was recut.
This is the bigger one here.
Correct.
Okay, and then it was cut into the smaller one.
Well, no, this is a half-size replica. And when I say half-size, it's approximately 25 millimeters across. Half-size, it's 12 millimeters across. We did them half-size initially so we could work out all the numerous difficult technical issues.
Yeah. Now this big monster there is really, I would love to give my wife that.
Yes, that is the Dresden green, and this is the half-size version of the Dresden green. And again, both of these small ones are actual diamonds. They're lab-grown diamonds.
Look at where this has led you. You know, I mean,
yes, it's
since the 70s you've been doing this.
And right now we are the first to create the replicas out of lab-grown, so it's just been a natural evolution. The next one on the list is a 20-carat pink called the Hortensia, and it's in the French crown jewels. So we can now counterfeit diamond out of diamond, and it is the original for all intents and purposes.
That is really, really awesome. Just awesome. Awesome stuff, awesome skill, awesome equipment. You know, all joined together, and a great idea, you know, that really takes follow through.
Yeah, it does. We're really pushing the limits of what's possible. Right now, lab-grown diamonds, they are limited in size to what they can create, which of course makes me limited in size of what we can currently do. My eventual goal, this would be the frosting on the cake. This is a replica of the Koh-i-Noor diamond. It is one of the most fabled diamonds on the planet, and it's 189 carats of diamond. Well, to cut a stone that big, you have to start with something almost 600 carats in size, and current technology just can't produce that. But as technology improves, we'll be able to create some of these larger stones.
But these, you know, I'm looking at your diagram here. These are the Cullinans.
Yes, these are the 9 Cullinans, and just out of reference, this is a plastic replica of the original diamond. So you can imagine cutting 9 stones out of this 3,106 carat chunk of diamond. It was an amazing job of cutting.
And of course, we don't generally cut diamonds on Ultratech. I have known some folks that do. I know folks that do it, you know, on a fairly regular basis. And of course, moissanite isn't as hard as diamond, but I know many. And in fact, the USFG, one of the stones for the single stone competition, the material is moissanite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that I did not know.
So people definitely cut a lot of moissanite on Ultratechs. And I see you have some, you know, you have some big tables. You have some what people find challenging in cutting, and you've succeeded just fantastically in getting the polish and the cut and so on.
Yes, some of these you can see how irregular the Koh-i-Noor is, so you can't really use standard cutting techniques for it. And because of the process that's required to cut it, if you make one mistake, it's fatal. You have to start all over again.
Now see, I'm getting Cullinan, and that this is this guy here?
Correct.
So it's Koh-i-Noor.
Koh-i-Noor. It means mountain of light, and it got its name because the first time the Maharaja in India saw it, that's what he exclaimed, Koh-i-Noor. So it stuck.
And then this is modern, so this was recut into that?
Correct. I have a research article that's been published in Gems and Gemology, and it goes through a very exhaustive study of the original form created from a plaster model in the Natural History Museum that was made in 1851. They let me borrow it, sent it off to Antwerp to get laser scanned, and then I took 700 photographs of it to tease out the facet pattern. And 2 years later, 2 years of effort later, I ended up with a cubic zirconia model, and then I started comparing that to the model of the modern recut. And we discovered a lot of things. We dispelled a lot of historical myths and verified some. But now it's kind of the definitive story.
And even these cuts are part of the original?
Yes, if you take a close look at it, there's actually 4 gouges in the surface of the replica. Those must be there for historical purposes because that is how they mounted the stone in the armband it was worn in.
So they needed those to make a metallic.
And it just galled me to take a dental drill and just mar the perfection. It's very frustrating.
After you've done all that work, well, certainly, I certainly do see just Ultratech and Scott Zucker, and I know many times how you have participated in testing and innovating the machines at Ultratech. That's one thing I love about this company is that, the DH lateral start, well, that stands for Dale and Hargrave, so many faceting members of the faceting community have contributed to the growth of the technology.
Exactly. I was fortunate that Joe Rubin offered me their prototype Glass Tech machine.
Yeah.
And back then they were only sold in 8-inch. Well, being a glass artist, some of my pieces are up to 6 inches across or 6 inches tall. So 8-inch just doesn't cut the mustard. So I was able to modify the machine to be a 12-inch. And Joe took a look at my 12-inch modification, and now they're making 12-inch Glass Tech.
Yeah, which really makes sense.
It does, it does.
And the massive sturdy mass that they have. And I'm sure maybe we can show some of that glass art on a different photo, that they'll insert here, because it is pretty amazing stuff.
It is.
Well, Scott, I would say I worship you, but that would probably go to your head.
That would.
No, I really, like I said, we've been together for some years here at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. It's the 71st. How long has he been doing it? 50 years? Yeah. How long have you been here?
Karen and I first started coming here around 1975 or so, and we've only missed them when we were stationed overseas. I'm a retired Air Force instructor pilot, so we got to travel a little bit, and unfortunately we couldn't make it back during those time periods, but I think we've only missed 3 or 4.
So you were coming when pretty much the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, run by the TGMS, was the show.
It was the show, basically in a parking lot.
Right.
It has obviously grown a little bit since then.
And now, of course, many promoters have come to town, and many local people promote shows and so on. We're up to, I think, 61 shows now. So just to see that progression.
Yes,
sure
and yes, it has been. We've seen the evolution of the show, and Karen and I have been a part of the Ultratech booth, I think, now for about 15 years running. That part has been absolutely amazing because we get to meet the crowd, we get to show the materials, and when you take a stone like the Cullinan one, they're in front of you at the table, and you put this in their hands, and they realize for maybe the first time in their life, somebody has entrusted them with something not only valuable, but fragile. And when they walk,
heavy.
And heavy. And when they walk away, they have a pride and a bounce in their step. It's absolutely wonderful to see. It's just been absolutely amazing.
So, ex-military, and thank you for your service.
Certainly.
Truly. Just a real American hero, absolute amazing cutter. He also teaches, so if he can teach people how to fly an airplane, a complex airplane, I think it might teach you how to run a V5 or a VL or a Glass Tech.
Or a Glass Tech.
Or a fantasy machine.
And I do enjoy the teaching aspect, bringing a newbie into the industry and the hobby, teaching them all the technicals, and then just having a good time. And then once I'm done teaching, I don't just send them out in the world and make your own way. I become their mentor for life. So all I have to do is pick up the phone, give me a call, and say, hey, my sapphire's orange peeling. What do I do about it? And I can tell them.
I've seen you have to call Scott. He likes a phone call. Scott is in Albuquerque, and which is a beautiful part of New Mexico to visit and vacation and so on. So if you're considering a trip to anywhere in New Mexico, anywhere in the area, and you want to learn how to facet or get a V5, he sells machines.
Every Tucson show is different. They all have their individual character and flavors. And as an Ultratech representative, you kind of have to go with that flow to see what the potential customers would like. The questions constantly change. Some of them go really in depth. The other day I had someone with a PhD in optics, and we had a remarkable discussion in discussing all of this stuff sitting in front of us. And having Ultratech behind me with their customer service, but for me it's more importantly the technical expertise that I can tap into when I come up with an issue, and I can go, hey, this is the problem I'm having, how can I work through this? Because you can take a look at all of this and say, wow, you did a good job. But what people don't realize is that for any one of us to become good, we have a massive army of people that are standing behind us that you don't see, that over 40, 50 years, they've provided us their inputs, and it allows us to run with it. So it's a bit of a karma thing. They have helped us, we help the newbies, Ultratech helps us, we help Ultratech. So it's one big happy family. It really is redeeming. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you do need, and you should be redeemed.
Well, some say I'm unredeemable.
We love to give each other a hard time, and we're just truly like a family here. We just have a really good time, like a real band of brothers. And of course, this show we added a sister, Keegan, that we want to have come back every year. And then Scott's wife, Karen, is kind of like the mom. She's an ex-school teacher, and she watches over us and kind of gives us a good sense of balance. But what I really like about this is you have been there for the birth of the V5,
Yes.
the birth of the fantasy machine,
Yes.
the birth of the VL, the beginning of making BA5T laps. I mean, you could be like an Ultratech historian.
Well, almost, but quite frankly, I'm an old world kind of guy when it comes to my cutting, so I like my copper laps and the old school techniques. But the part that I have really discovered, I resisted going digital for probably 30 years because I wanted to use old world techniques to understand the old world processes. Once I understood that and I figured I knew enough, that's when I went to the Glass Tech and the V5 with their digital stuff. And I'll tell you, it really improved what I was able to do. I mean, I can nail things now that, again, I just can't do it on another machine.
Well, it's kind of like going from a standard to an automatic. A standard has its charm and so on, but when you drive an automatic, you can hold your coffee.
Well, you can, but I prefer a standard, quite frankly. Again, you see the gray in my hair? I'm old school.
Well, I'm glad that Ultratech was able to pull you into this century by using digital technology. And I love the whole world. I do consider myself, a patriot. I love the United States of America, but I import things from all over the world, and it just fills me with pride when I tell people the circuit board in that DAD is made in Southern California in the United States of America, and I just, the whole thing is
American-made soup to nuts.
Yeah, really, really awesome equipment, awesome cutter, great history. Recently found diamond, discovered in a vault in Canada.
The new technology with the lab-grown diamond replicas.
Just awesome. So if you're out and about, please do come visit us. We're in the ballroom at the 71st annual TGMS, Tucson Gem and Mineral Society show. And this is the last day.
And we will be here for the 72nd show next year, so feel free to stop on by and you can see an interesting collection.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for talking to me, Scott.
All righty, Dave. It's been a pleasure.
Always a joy. All right, here we are at the Ultratech booth at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society show, and I've got Keegan Lee. Say hi.
Hello, that's me.
Keegan embodies exactly what it's all about. You know, whether it's Fasteners Paradise, Ultratech, the Guild, just fastening in general. She came and took a 2-day class at Fasteners Paradise and really learned. And so she's just taken off with it. That was only a couple months ago. And so now we're going to talk to her a little bit about her experience. She just came the last 2 days and apprenticed here at the booth on the VL. She drove down from Phoenix. She got crashed into by a Tesla that hit and ran. She today drove it down in the rain. It's a 2-hour drive.
That's not so bad.
But that's just that shows how serious and committed she is to learn fastening. She's not getting paid. She's coming down here and just getting to work on a machine, but with great mentors.
Oh yeah.
You know, but she learned on the V5. Now she's had a couple days on the VL. So just a rundown, not so much the features, but what do you feel different on the VL versus the V5?
Okay, so the differences I've noticed between the VL and the V5, obviously we have the splash pan. With the V5, you have this soft splash pan that you can pull to the side with these little pins. And I definitely did notice a difference with the splashing when I was using the VL versus the V5. I feel like that could easily be accommodated for with a bigger sponge. We just don't really have all the tools at our disposal since we're at the booth right now. And one thing that I don't think can be accounted for a difference is this mast is significantly easier to use on the V5 than it is on the VL. I love this little knob. You can get extremely precise readings. And we were just talking about how if you need a calibrated stone, you would want to go with the V5 because you can get these very important metrics here. What else? I'm trying to think.
And you did some polishing over there. Seemed like you were doing really well. You looked at Gem Cut Studio a little bit with Ron. But, you know, I noticed something, that you didn't have a loop.
Oh.
So I'd like to reward your sincere hard work with a loop.
Thank you.
You know, you're just really,
Let's go.
like I say, you're doing it all. You're really interested. So I want to talk about something that, you know, you've done so much to come down here and embody this idea of being an apprentice. You're what it's all about.
Thank you.
So it really is rewarding to me. You know, last week you were there, you weren't there, and I won a V5.
Oh yeah.
And
that was huge.
And honestly, I felt kind of guilty because I'm the guy, hey, there's a V5, we're giving away a V5, and I'm the guy announcing it. And then I won it.
Bought the tickets.
And I bought the tickets. And, you know, and then I announced about an apprenticeship program, and it has been very popular. People have really resoundingly said, that's awesome, that's amazing. And that's moving forward. But at the same time, I went home and my wife is in the nonprofit business. And she looks at me and she goes, you can't keep that machine. No, she did. I'm telling you. She's like, you can't keep that machine. It's not right. You're on the board. You're one of the people.
But even in your speech, you said you were going to make it for an apprenticeship.
I know. And that's going. That is 100% happening.
Yeah.
But I thought Keegan has come and worked so hard. So I brought her a sintered lap. A 600 sintered lap. But what are you going to do with a sintered lap?
What do you mean I'm not getting paid?
Well, I'm not done. It's Friday the 13th. So not only a sintered lap, I brought you a bat lap. Because what are you going to do? You got to cut with 600. So I brought you an 8000 tin with 8K. I brought you a dark side for polishing quartz, because that's what you've been cutting. And I brought you a tin plus. Let me see. It's a bat, a tin plus, a dark side. So all the laps so that now you are able to cut.
My contacts is.
But it's Friday the 13th. It's your lucky day. I won that machine, fair and square. And I am giving You, a V5. Turn around and look. Look right there. Look behind you. And the Martinellis.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. So, no, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That is your machine. You're going to drive home with that. And I'm so proud of what you've done. I just can't tell you. And you're not affecting the apprenticeship program. You're going to help me promote the apprenticeship program. That's part of this deal, is you help us promote and do social content just like you're doing right now, and really spread the word to young people and people that want to cut. And that is your V5. You got every lap, you got everything except glue. I forgot to get a stick of wax.
How dare you?
I went to the shop this morning. I was like, wax, I have to have wax. So, high five.
I'm overwhelmed. That's
Now you got to give a speech.
wow. My entire life I've been looking for really my place. I thought it was AV for a long time. Spent about a little over 10 years doing AV. And I just never felt comfortable in that industry. Everybody was at each other's throats all the time. It was so exhausting. Long story short, then I ended up in a different industry. And then I thought, well, this doesn't make me happy either. What would actually make me happy? Took a long look at myself, what I'm interested in. Rocks. Love rocks. Got it really interested in rock hounding. And then I saw what people were doing with faceting. I've always wondered how it worked. And just looking at videos of people online, Mark Oros, John Dyer, like the things that they can do with the faceting machines are so impressive that it really inspired me to be like, maybe I could be good at that. Because it really takes passion. Just trying to find something that I was really passionate about that made me happy, that I thought I could do for the rest of my life. A hobby like that, or maybe even a career and now maybe even a career. And that's really huge. And TLDR, this community is so kind. Like David really hyped me up, but I feel like I haven't done that much. Not anything more than I've ever done for anybody else. And it's just been met with so much kindness and generosity, and I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm not gonna cry.
Let's go meet that machine. Come on, come on.
Thank you so much.
All right, yeah.
You're kidding.
A V5. You have your oxide. Here's your lap. This is actually my book. 3 laps.
You're kidding, the book too?
No, this is my book. But you're going to get one.
I can buy a book.
I've already put my
easily buy a
name.
book.
No, you're going to get a book, but it comes in February. We just put it to show. But you have everything but the glue, everything but the wax.
I can handle that.
Fastener's Paradise appreciates everything you did. The last 2 days, you didn't know it. It was a test.
I was being tested.
It was a test to see, because people can talk. People can say, oh, la, la. But you came with the action. You brought it. You came down from your house, from Phoenix. You drove through the rain. You did exactly, you're sincere. You're the real deal.
Well, I've told you, I hate networking. I hate it. Can't stand it because I hate climbing the ladder. But this is different because I've really felt like I've made friends. It's not networking. It's no big thing to come out here again today because I'm having a blast.
Well, and that's it. So it's a passion, it's excitement, it's sincerity, it's hard work. This is what it's all about. And here's our photo op. Let's Keegan Lee, you guys, you better get on board because this is a rookie that's going places. And in a few years, now we've invited her. You see, she's got a tag on from Ultratech because she came and helped us out of the booth. So we're asking her to come back every Tucson Gem Show, come to the USFG Symposium and help out. She's going to be a volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't doubt she'll be a board member pretty soon. And then we're also after that, if she can get enough time off because she has to work. She just got a new job in San Bernardino. But we're going to ask her to come to the TGMS booth and help us run the booth and demonstrate just like she was showing. She had 8 to 10 little kids.
They're so cute.
Little kids, like 6, 7, 8-year-old kids around her
Us old geezers, they didn't care, but they were there with Keegan because she was
That's
cutting.
a cool machine.
Well, it's all cool. It's all cool. But you have earned this, and you are going to do great things, and we're all very excited to see what you do. One more high five. So I hope you got room in your trunk.
Oh yeah. Y'all are the best. You're the best. I love you guys so much. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
All right, Dave Smith again with Scott Suker at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, 71st anniversary. And now we're going to talk about these massive glass creation that Scott is really becoming known for. He's one of the movers and shakers in the big, huge glass things. And I'd like to, if we could, start at the smaller and kind of work our way up. So let's start with this little guy here.
Yeah, this is a small glass sculpture created from what they call dichroic X cubes. So I put 8 on the top cube, 8 on the bottom cube, and just kind of glue them together. The X cubes are actually used as optical beam splitters, and those that are rejected for commercial use become pieces of art. So you just glue, grind, glue, polish, and eventually just put them together in whatever combination you'd like.
Very, very eye-catching. And this one, you've got all this stuff going on the inside, and then you have a layer of clear on the outside. So tell me about that.
Yeah, creating cubes is a lot easier than going to three-dimensional objects. And this is, again, one of my earlier pieces, but you can see how the colors will change as I rotate it around. This particular feature up top, this little flat surface, is the result of somebody dropping this and damaging the corner. It was actually serendipitous because I could flatten that out, and now you have a different visual impact from looking at one of the faces. So out of tragedy comes success.
And then did you make that base?
The base is just commercially available. I did make the base on the first one, and that's just a standard one. And then moving up to a slightly different pattern and bigger, trying to refine the processes and learning the different techniques. There's nobody I know of that trains this, so you kind of have to figure things out on your own.
And I'm assuming, because these are all pretty massive, that you cut these on the Ultratech Glass Tech.
Yes, they are cut on the Glass Tech.
With a 12-inch lap?
Definitely a 12-inch, because there's no way these larger 3 could possibly fit on an 8-inch lap, because you don't get enough sweep across the lap.
And then this one has some kind of wrinkled...
Yes, this is a different type of dichroic glass, and there's many different kinds. But as you can see with my hand behind it, it's one color, and then I can hold it up to the light, and it changes color. So the dichroic, di meaning 2, and chroic meaning color. So in the Latin, it means 2 color. And you basically build these from the inside out. So you add a piece of glass to a piece of glass, and you add another piece of glass, and you just keep cutting, grinding, polishing, gluing until you get to where you want to be. Either you're finished or you're just done and tired of messing with it.
Yeah, because this is a bit like a bigger version of the one you just showed us.
It is. It has a different type of dichroic glass. And one of the things I'm moving away from are the cubes. I am now going to more three-dimensional objects. I recently found out about dragon eggs from Dungeons and Dragons. And my grandson is into Dungeons and Dragons. So I created this particular one for him. There's 468 pieces of glass in there. I have over 400 hours in it. When I first started cutting this, it weighed over 11 pounds. And even as it sits, it's about a 5-pound chunk of glass. So this is not something you're going to do on a standard machine. You need the Glass Tech. You need something huge, and that can also give you the precision of standard faceting to create these.
Yeah, the amount of weight. So let's go see the
Yeah,
mast
coming
and
on
the.
over here to the glass tech itself,
Go ahead and show us the.
this is pretty much identical to the V5, other than it is a much larger beast. When I first got mine, it was an 8-inch. I modified it to a 12-inch, and now you can order them in a 12-inch variety. But you still have all the same precision in the angle with a digital angle dial, obviously to the hundredth of a degree. And then as far as the indexing, the rotation this way, by using the cheater, you're accurate to well within a 20th of a degree. Now the big thing about the Glass Tech, just like in the V5, you have an indexed dop. Now this is the only time I use indexed dops, is when I have one of those big suckers, because you can imagine the torque and the weight and the energies required. I can slide the indexed dop in here, and it helps prevent the entire piece from rotating as I'm cutting. That's one of my little secrets that's now been made public, to make sure that everything stays stable so I can cut it.
And this mast looks to be twice as thick or 1.5 times as
Yeah,
thick.
this mast is a beast. It's absolutely necessary, because you can imagine putting an 11-pound piece of glass all the way out here and all the torque and the forces required to do it. You just don't have that capability on any other machine out there.
This is a pretty
Yeah,
fancy
this is
little
kind of cool. You know, the V5 is a short mast. Well, this is much taller. So what they've decided to do is motorize it for easy up and easy down.
So then the water system is the same. The deck is much larger.
Yeah, the deck is much larger just to accommodate the greater travel of the mast and to accommodate the 12-inch laps.
And of course, the motor, I imagine, is a larger motor.
Yeah, the motor, when the Glass Tech was originally developed, it was only 1/8 of a horsepower. But in consultation and working with Ultratech, they've upgraded it to a 1/2 horsepower motor. And that's absolutely essential, because you need to get that power to generate, to turn a 12-inch lap with an 11-pound piece of glass on it.
And you can use the mast extender here, the base that raises.
Yeah, you can always use the 2-inch riser. I actually had to use it when I was faceting the very top part of the egg. And of course, the other benefit of the Glass Tech is that it is readily adaptable to the Fantasy machine, and I do all my cutting using the Glass Tech on the Fantasy. So it's an outstanding system. I mean, I love the precision. I like the rigidity of the mast. It's just well designed.
To get a piece that big and that heavy, and then have that repeatability of going right back to that exact angle.
And that's what you need. If you have hundreds of hours invested in a piece, you don't want to blow it on sloppy work and bad equipment.
Well, just awesome stuff. Amazing work. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for giving us a tour.
Certainly my pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
If you're out and about at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, come visit us.